Hey everybody, this is Brad from Johnson Small Engines, better known as the one-handed mechanic. If I can do it, you can too. Today we have here a Cub Cadet XT1 LT46. This is a 46-inch mower deck. It's a nice tractor. I did clean it up for the video. It was in really bad condition, and the reason why it's in here is, if you saw the thumbnail, is that it snapped the belt. And it didn't shred it, it snapped it. So what happens when a belt snaps? Usually that means that the blade stopped, and this is what I found. First thing I did was clean it up. This thing was horrible. You guys wouldn't even be able to know it was actually a mower. I would say what made this happen was tire pressure was low, almost flat all the way around. You really need to check your tire pressure once or twice a year to make sure that this doesn't happen. Now, the reason why this belt broke, what I think was, is the tires went down. Because the tires were low, the tractor sat at least an inch lower in the yard, which allowed it to hit whatever it was, and this is what happened. He hit something really, really bad. So you can see this, how bent that is. We gotta get them off. And he broke this hub. The hub is, these hubs are just aluminum. I'm gonna have to show you. I think I'm gonna take the cover off. You can see it up here. You can see right here where it's cracked, right where my finger is right there. Just hit something so hard. So today, I'm going to show you, we're going to remove the blades, we're going to put new blades on, but also we're going to put new hub assembly on here. They're covers that are guides. You have to have these on so the belt doesn't fall off. This one here is actually cracked. I used to weld them with a washer, and that would help, but now we just replace them. They're cheap enough. I will put everything that I'm using today on links in the description. Blade brake is missing from here. We're going to put a new blade brake on. Also over here, this blade brake is when worn down to the pulley, and a lot of times that these springs are a little bit on the too tight side, in my opinion. This one here doesn't feel real tight at all, and I'm going to show you how to get the spring off pretty easily. We're going to replace this brake, replace that brake, replace this whole hub assembly, and this. Now, if you guys need a video on how to take off the mower deck, I will also have that in the link in the description below. I'm not going to show you that, because basically this is just we're going over the mower deck right now. So let's go ahead and look at the tools that we need today. Okay, so I am going to put an OEM belt on. I really don't like aftermarket belts for mower decks. We also have this is the belt cover guard guide. All right, and I'll put a link in the description below for all this stuff. The blade brake kit that I got actually comes with a whole bunch of goodies that can be used later on. You have extra brake pads. You have the left and right side assemblies that we're going to be putting on today. It has a spacer washer that goes in here if you need it, and a nut. You have two springs for both sides, and they also give you some rivets when you need to do the, if you're going to do the brake pads themselves. It gives you all this. So we're not going to need all that. I'm hoping that we can just get away with using these, and we don't really need the spring, but we'll see how bad the other one is, and we may need this. This is a spacer that goes in here. The blade hub assembly, it is a aftermarket blade hub, but believe it or not, I truly believe that Cub Cadet is no longer making their parts. They're subbing out, and this one I have used many times and I've had good luck with it, and it comes with everything but the bolts. And you can try and use the old bolts, but because these are actually threaded, it's a 5/16 by 18 by 1 inch is what I'm using, and I'm also going to be putting on lock washer and flat washer. The ones that come out of there are self-tappers, and this has already been tapped, so I'm just going to put bolts in there. The really nice thing about this hub is that it has a grease fitting, and we're going to fill this hub up. The ones coming off the machines that are original do not have grease fittings, and these hubs are empty. That's why I always tell people, never wash your machine. If this hub gets water in it, it will just rust out those bearings from the inside out, and you don't even realize it's happening. You do need a grease gun. I'm going to go ahead and get this thing greased up while it's here, and it's going to take a lot of grease. I'll get about 30 pumps in, and then I spin it. And until I feel this, you don't want to overdo it, and you can overdo it. It's not going to hurt anything. You just might have grease going everywhere. I'll spin the pulley until it gets to the point where you know there's restriction on it. That means the grease is packed in there and it's slowing it down, and then you know you're good. That was about 30 pumps. You should be getting fairly close, and you might feel resistance when pumping. Oh yeah, so that's slowing down, so we're good. There's a lot of grease in there, and that's a nice feature. If you just make sure that this is topped off, once you get it full, you only really need to hit it a couple times here and there, and it should be fine. If you start seeing it ooze out, it's not the end of the world. It'll just wipe it off. And yes, underneath would be better than on top of the mower deck because of the belts, but I like the covers. This one also has it's just like the OEM, has a cover on top, and you just bolt these on from underneath, which is nice, and we'll go ahead and get to that. I use electric power tools, and if you guys are going to be doing this at home and you're going to be doing all the work on your machines, I highly recommend if you just buy yourself a couple electric tools, it's going to save you that money in the long run taking it to a shop. You'll make up that difference in probably one visit to the shop. I have an 8mm socket. I'm going to be using 2-inch extension, 1/4 inch, 9/16 socket, 1/2 inch socket. These are 5/16 by 1 inch. The OEM is a 5/16 by 18 by 0.875. It's about a 7/8 inch. So it's kind of an oddball one that I don't have. So we're going to go ahead with the inch. You could actually go a little bit shorter, but I'd rather have a little bit more than not. 9/16 wrench, 1/2 inch wrench, a U-hook pick to get the spring off, 15/16 socket for getting the blade off. If you guys are doing it manually, 3/8 ratchet, 1/2 inch ratchet. The pair of blades here, I'll put a link in the description below for blades if you want to purchase these. Block of wood that we're going to use, 1/4 inch ratchet for scraping your mower deck underneath it. This guy right here is if we need to straighten the mower deck. After I get the blade hub on there, I have to put the new blades on, and we may have an issue with the blades actually not lining up correctly. I have a really good video about straightening the mower deck after it's been bent. I'm not going to do it today because it's just a process involved. If we come across that, I'll do it off camera. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is take off the cover on the one side. It's bent down, it's way off of the mark here. That's probably what broke that off right there. We're gonna go ahead and take care of that, but I'm gonna go ahead and release this spring. Okay, so I found an easy way. If you have a small pick, and the way it's lined up right here, if you just put your pick, move it over like that, pull it back a little bit, go underneath the spring. I'm just resting my foot on the mower deck to keep it from rolling, and then it just comes right off. So it's pretty straightforward. And just remember, always take pictures if you need to before you start this project. I'm going to take the spring out, take everything loose here. I'm going to turn the mower deck now upside down. And I use blocks to keep the mower deck from hitting all the other pulleys. Just be careful. And when I flip it over, it's going to rest on here on the ground. And then I'll put my block of wood down here and allow it to sit right here. I keep wood around everywhere, but if you don't have an electric impact, this one actually hit the mower deck over here. Wow, pretty bad. You can see where it was scraping right here. So you bring it to there. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. So this is counterclockwise to come off. Put a block of wood here, put your socket on here with your bar, and you may need I use a 3-foot bar that actually helps me take these nuts off because they are a real bear to get off. But I'm going to go ahead and use my impact. You can see pretty bad. That hit something pretty good. Okay, now we take the bolts out from this side. So you need a 3/8 socket to get these off. This thing was broken in 2 spots. That's why it just fell out. Alright, just like I thought, we're going to have problems getting those off. Alright, so at this point, we're going to lift it up. Take these bolts out. Now I'm using my foot to keep this from rolling. You have to be careful with the wheels. This thing's going to roll on you. And come around here. Okay, so this is just going to come out. As you can see, it broke 2 spots right there. The hard part right now is these guys here are spinning while I'm trying to get them off. So what I'm going to do is, first we're going to get this bolt out here. Now you could technically use these, but these are self-tappers. When they at the factory, they're not drilled and tapped. They use self-tapping bolts. So I'm just going to use my hardware and not these. But to get that out, there's a couple different ways you can do that. One is penetrating oil to make it easier coming out. Put a pair of vice grips on here, which I did not put up on the tools. I wasn't expecting this like this, so I'm going to use a little bit of PB Blaster, and I'm going to put a pair of vice grips on here, and I'm going to go around the air side, and we're going to try to zoom them off. And you could use a pipe wrench. You just need something to hold it, to grip it from spinning. Worst case, you may need a torch. My vice grips are used and abused. Okay, so it just broke off. That's how rusted it was. Your probably best bet is if you have a torch, a little propane torch, is to heat the area where the bolt is to get them off. That doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. When you put the hub down in here, just check to make sure nothing looks really bent up right here. And not that you can do anything about it until you got to put the pulley on, and then you're going to put your blade on. And then you have to line up both blades, the new blades, to see how bent it is on the frame here. And like I said, I have a really good video on how to straighten this out. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take this off right here. This is spring loaded right here. So there's a little notch right here. Okay, and you just pull the spring out, push it underneath it, and that releases the tension. So when you put the spring tension back on, you're just going to have it like that. All right, that's how that works, like that. So you just take the spring off, and this is going to be a 1/2 inch socket, and then we have to turn it up on this side again, and I'm going to put a wrench on this side, and I'm going to zoom the other one off with the gun with the 1/2 inch socket on the other side. All right, so I'm going to lift it up, straddle it over again. I'm going to hold the one side here with the wrench, put a wrench on it. You might have to clean off the threads here. That's why they give you a new nut in the kit, I think. Oh, that's not coming off. You do have to be careful. You don't want to burn. If you have a lot of grass around there, definitely scrape it off. Don't touch, hot. You gotta be careful if you're gonna use a torch. Just that little bit of heat's gonna get everything hot. when you pull this up off, try to make sure you remember where everything's at, because there's a lot going on right here. You have the bolt, the washer, the brake assembly itself, that spacer we saw in the kit, and a spring. So, and it's also connected right here by the hook right here. So I'm going to slide off the hook, lay it out off to the side, and I think we're going to use everything in the kit because this is pretty rusty. Didn't come with a bolt though. Okay, so this is a 5/16 bolt. It looks like it's about a 2-inch bolt. I'm just going to try to find a new one. I found one. I like to use stainless steel hardware. This is a 1.5 inch 5/16 by 18 by 1.5 inch bolt. And basically, I left this the way it was just so we knew how it went. And so we have the new spacer, like that, and we just try to take the new spring, just put it in reference with just like the other one was. We put the spacer down on here, and then our blade brake went like this, and this guy here went like this, like so. Does have to have that washer that was on top, which is this guy here. That looks to be in good shape. I'll go ahead and put it down through the, just like so. Move all this guy off to the side. This is the new bolt or new nut with the lock nut, and it should be 5/16 18. So we're gonna go ahead and flip this up. But while I'm holding it, I'm going to put it down, get my wrench set up. Go ahead and tighten them up. Now if it's done correctly, everything should move. Got to move smoothly like that. Like I said about this spring. Okay, so you just take your spring, pull it under, let it click into that little thing. Now the reason why I did this first, if we would have put the spindle down in there, it would have been a pain to work around that spindle. Just let it, just so there's no tension, so we can just have this out freely. Okay, so the other brake comes in the kit, just like so. We're just going to go ahead and 8mm socket. And that was pretty worn away. It was done. It was probably original. Okay, so 2 brake pads are on. I'm gonna go ahead and, what happened here? Okay, move that over. I wanna go ahead and lock in this spring now. I'm gonna lock it in now because I don't know if it's gonna be harder to do when the pulley's on there. What I have done in the past to make this hold itself back while I'm putting the pulley in here is I'll use a piece of wire or zip tie right here. Okay, so that holds it like this, so we can go ahead and put the pulley down in there. I would suggest when you're putting the pulley down and the hub down in there that you make sure you put this where you can grease it at a later time. It's not real easy when it's on there. That's why I recommend how doing it when it's off, getting it done. You can already tell some things are not very straight. I can see this is bent up a lot right here, and yeah, it's already bent down like that. I'm gonna go ahead off camera and I'm gonna flatten this out a little bit, and like I said, if you watch the other video, it'll show you how to do this. This one here has been pushed up a lot. Okay, so from this side, since I knew it was so high, I just use, this is like a 5-pound hammer, and I flattened that out, okay, and basically kept putting this back on it. And I'm just doing this for getting it closed purposes. And now it's not rocking. It looks pretty straight as far as the mower deck, and it'll line up real well with the brake. So hopefully I didn't overdo it. And sometimes it's just a matter of just trial and error. And you want to make sure that this guy here has been sitting outside. There's a lot of paint coming off, but you have to make sure that you don't have any cracks. If you have cracks on your mower deck, then you're going to have to get this welded by somebody who can weld. I do a lot of small welding on machines just to keep the mower decks from having to be replaced. And you do what you got to do, but that looks good right there. And I'm going to have to put it up now. I did have it on a block of wood, so when I was hitting the deck, it's not actually pounding on the suspension, on the wheels or anything like that, and bowing up these brackets. It's a good thing to have wood all the way around it when you're doing it. I'm going to go ahead and put this up in the air. I'm going to try to figure out a good position for that grease fitting. Okay, so my grease fitting's right here, and I'm going to face it towards the inside. I should have no problem getting a grease gun on that. You could, if you want to, you could put never sees on these. I use stainless steel hardware, and that really helps out a lot. Make sure you get them all started before you start to wrench them down. Just put them on slowly. If you're using an impact, make sure you don't overdo it because you can break these hubs. Be very careful. Okay, I'm going to flip this on its back. Now I'm going to go ahead and clean this up, and we'll be right back. There is a nice little cap on here to keep these threads from getting mangled up, so we got to take the cap off. I'm not sure if these blades, if the blades don't come across evenly, I'm going to have to readjust the deck again. We'll just cross our fingers on that one for now. Whenever you put your blades on, make sure the blade side right here like this goes up towards the deck. So this is actually wrong right now. You have to, the blade edge itself goes towards the deck. So you put it on like this. All right, that is correctly positioned. Put never sees on these. These are rusted up. Just put some never sees on them. I'll clean up the threads as they go on. If your blade does not, these are like a star shape right here. A lot of people, it's a puzzle. These must fit into that star perfectly. If these are mushroomed because people put their blades on incorrectly because they're putting it on with a deck on, which is not recommended by me, then you have to replace this hub, or you have to replace the blade shaft itself by pressing it out. But this one here on this side is good. Okay, so I did pretty good hammering this out from the other side, getting it pretty straight that way, and believe it or not, the blades come across pretty darn even right there. If yours don't, check out my video. I'm going to also tip this up on its edge just to show you that from the top side you can see. Now, spinning it over, I did notice that this side comes down a little bit on this blade. All blades are not exactly straight. You can be off about a 1/16, but if you spin your other side, make sure, I can tell it's wobbling a little bit. It's not that there's a problem with it. It's just that the shaft must have hit, the blade must have hit something in the past, and it's not quite right. So it can offset your blade a little bit, but as long as both are coming across even on the low side of your grass, they'll be cutting perfect. All right, you'll see a nice cut. This is a little bit on the high side. And what brings me to the high side is I'm going the opposite of what you think I'm doing. High side is that way, so the blade's sticking down this way a little bit. But this side comes around nice and even, and if I flip this one around, it's a little on the high side. So the low side, which is this side, and that's where we're going to get your straight cut, they're even. It's going to be perfect when you cut the grass. It's going to be good to go. Now spin your other side just to make sure you don't have bad bearings. This guy's doing good on this side. And this is doing perfect because it's brand new. And I put the grease fitting on right here so I can just, when the deck's off, we can go ahead and grease it. I'm gonna go ahead and flip it straight up so you can see from the vertical how it's coming across. So I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but the gap between this blade and this blade, it's about even. That's perfect. Okay, and I was saying the other one's a little bit on the high side, so this one here is going up when I flipped it around. Flip that one around. All right, so that one's down a little bit. You find the two happy mediums, and they are just about perfectly flush going across each other. That's where you get your perfect cut. So we're gonna go ahead, since that's all good, we're gonna put it down. Always be careful of your fingers on your mower deck. A lot of you guys will run your wheels all the way up because you want a golf course looking cut. I don't agree with that. My opinion, always have your deck wheels right where they're anti-scalp. You don't want your deck hitting the ground. So I always have the wheels either 1 or 2 notches up off the ground. And yeah, so they're good right here. I'm not gonna hit the ground, but also you gotta worry about pinching your fingers too. Okay, so we're on the upside here. We do have to put the belt on. We're gonna put the spring on here. We're gonna cut this zip tie now. Another tool that I forgot. I'm gonna go ahead and put the spring on. Just come around like so. Drop it down like that. There you go. Make sure that's working. If this side here is not working well, you may need to take this apart and clean it, but it's not wobbling up and down, so that's good there. Now, because the belt was broken, as you can see this belt guide right here, this belt guide is very tight to the pulley, and a lot of you guys want to just put a screwdriver in here and bend them out. Well, I mean, technically you can do that, and technically I've seen a lot of guys push a 1/2-inch belt between here and it opens up. I don't like doing that because I don't want to bend anything. And this side too, so we're going to have to loosen up these a little bit and to get the belt in there. And I'm also going to take off this cover because we need to get the belt in here, and this is also a guide. Now remember that this right here is the front of your mower deck. This goes to the front of the tractor. And always remember, when the deck is facing forward, your belt is going to go straight across the pulleys like so, pretty much all the time. And then you're going to wrap it around. The V of the belt goes in the V to pulley, just remember that. And the flat spot of the belt goes on the flat spot of a pulley. All right, now you can, if you really want to, jam that in there. I don't want to cut it. I don't want to bend anything. I'm not going to put a screwdriver in here. The right way to do it is 1/2-inch socket underneath, and then we're going to loosen this up a little bit. Just loosen it up. That's all you need to do, because you just need to get this to come back off like a little bit. Put it back on it like that. Make sure the pulley spins correctly. Make sure this is in the right spot. This one here, this one's going to be a little bit more tricky because I think the bolt goes through the deck. And you have to bring it around from like so, like there. Yeah, I just don't feel right doing that. Let's try. Oh, there it goes. Okay. All right, so prove myself wrong. That actually rolled in there pretty well. And so you can attempt to do that if you want. I just like to make sure that I don't ruin the belt. Now, also about the belt and all the parts you need, I will have everything in the link in the description below, but I also wanted to show you, I am a guy who does it all by part numbers and by the model number. Everybody keeps telling me, all you have to do is look underneath your hood. You're right. Everything's right here. I've had bad luck in the past, so I really just do everything by part numbers, off the model number, off the machine. But it did have the right, the deck belt is a, where's it at? 95405-022A for this machine. And it also gives you the diagram of your mower deck belt, which is really nice. Okay, so now we have it. I always pull it forward just to make sure everything is looking good and everything is operating as it should. I'm gonna go ahead and put the belt covers back on. Gonna put a little never sees. Make sure that the belt is on, both sides right here, and these covers are straight. Again, make sure the belt's on properly. Okay, so we are now ready to put the mower deck back on the machine. Now I'm going to put a video in how to remove and install this mower deck, so I don't have to show you that as far as getting this on now because this video has been long enough. So that pretty much sums it up for what can happen when a belt breaks. And this was kind of worst case scenario. This pretty much shows you how to replace the hub, brakes, new blades, and again I'll put all the links in the description below for the parts and how to remove and install the deck, and also how to straighten this deck. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up, please subscribe, share my channel with your friends, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.